out of the way. Yep, just as I suspected. It's the right button. Okay, so Ben just introduced us. I'm the Sarah of Sarah and Tyler. This is Tyler Henderson. One thing that we didn't talk about is I don't think that we have anywhere in our website that we are an engaged couple. Some people think that we're siblings. We're getting married next month. So if we seem a little stressed out, like we're not really talking and we're in a fight, it's because we're getting married next month. This is the closest we've been probably.
We'll try not to hash it out in front of all of you.
2 months. Yeah, you're not our mom, so I think we're fine. But so we are a couple. I thought about that beforehand. So we both graduated from UW Eau Claire. I graduated in 2014 with a December 2014 with a degree in creative writing and public relations.
And I was a 2015 graduate, and I graduated with a degree in journalism. Excuse me. And so we bring some different writing to the table. Oh, also trombone, yes, music, yes.
And so we actually both, after we graduated, moved away for about a year. We moved to the Milwaukee area. Go to this side. That's one of our engagement pictures. Yep. So we're just fun. We're a fun couple. We moved to Milwaukee for a year and really missed the Eau Claire area. We knew when we came back to the community that we were wanting to start a small business, and because of both of our backgrounds in writing and a little bit of marketing, we figured that something like copywriting would be a really good fit. We didn't initially, I guess Esjay copywriting wasn't our initial thought, but we kind of knew exactly where we were going in terms of wanting to create content for people and work with other small businesses in the area.
Yeah, and when we started, we were thinking a little bit more in the realm of what's going to be cost effective too. There's a lot of businesses that you can start where you can put yourself, whether it's in quite a bit of debt or just a lot of putting a lot of personal funds into it. We thought, something like copywriting where we're utilizing our skills, but also have a really low overhead as to what we're doing. And we can explain that a little bit later, but it was part of what led into it, and then we started doing it, and we're loving it.
We also were lucky to know a lot of small business owners here. I had worked for an insurance company downtown where I had written ads for her when I worked for her. So my exposure to creating ads through that was really helpful for me to kind of figure out things I liked to do that maybe weren't necessarily creative. I mean, I like to do creative writing, but it was sort of outside of that and also something that was going to create revenue. And then, like Tyler said, just having a startup where we both still work full-time jobs. I actually work at CBTC as well. So, and Tyler works, where do you work?
So
Sorry.
I run the new music store in town, Equinox Music, that opened up alongside Morgan Music. So both of us,
both of us wanting to start something where we knew it wasn't going to be a full-time commitment and where we could make it something where eventually we wanted to grow and evolve to something that could be full-time, but we also knew initially that we couldn't dedicate our full-time jobs, or we couldn't quit our full-time jobs to dedicate time to it.
Yeah, and so to explain what we do, copywriting itself is a very vague term. We're writing copy for businesses. That's what we do. And it's not only that, but that's the main part of what we do. So, as you see here, we've got a few different examples: SEO, website content, advertisements, and copy editing. And so, probably the main thing that we do has been in the realm of advertising, and it's just been either writing website content that is advertising for a business. We do press releases for local businesses. And then also, I guess the other thing that we do is just relatively creative writing work where we're there for syntax, editing purposes.
We've done everything this year, from one of my coworkers has a master's paper that we helped her edit and write, to describing shadow boxes for local artists in town. So we get to do a lot of really cool stuff. We also, like I said, are lucky just through some of the contacts we made from college, through working at different places in Eau Claire. Both of us have had numerous jobs at different places in Eau Claire, which sounds kind of terrible.
Yeah, right.
We've been all over, but so we've gotten to make a lot of really good contacts that have kind of stuck, and most of them, I mean, like us, they still email us back, so that's been good so far.
Yep.
So now we're going to talk a little bit about some of the different jobs that we've done, just so you guys can get a more clear example of some of the things that we've done this year and some of the projects that we're asked to do.
Yeah, so this one was for Clearwater Comedy. If you haven't heard of it, they are at the Plus every Thursday. Some really great local comics. They had been doing open mics for years, and they decided they wanted to start something a little bit more cohesive. And so what we did is they were looking for bios, and they had written some bios, but they didn't like their bios, and so they said, what would you guys do? So in this particular case, I did some interviewing. I sat down with each individual person that we did a bio about, asked some questions. We tried really hard to make it something a little bit unconventional. So we asked some strange questions. I mean, we're talking to comics, so utilizing their humor for their own bios was important. But yeah, for this one, it was a relatively, it seems like a simple job, writing a bio. But if you dive in a little bit, figure out why they do what they do, and play off of, like I said, their humor, it makes for a little bit more of an interesting experience.
And then I'll just touch briefly on this one. So we did shadow boxes for an artist in town, which I didn't know what they were when we first started doing it, so I had to figure that out. But he makes a lot of shadow boxes that are kind of like retro. So there were a lot of old video games from the 70s that I was Googling because I had no idea what they were. But it was really fun to kind of use creativity for something I didn't know about, and he's a really fun person to work with.
Yeah, and he is a great business owner in the area. He also has Font Diner. Stuart Sandler is his name, I'm sure some of you have heard of Stuart. And he's been great to work with because he's given us a lot of tips too on how to operate our business. The retail product description world is very vast and a lot of times very uninteresting. And I tried to write some of these and it was a disaster because I'm a journalist. And then she wrote them and they were great because they had all sorts of color and creativity, and that's how we complement each other. But so we were trying to yes. So we were trying to write something that people would actually grab onto, pop out at them. So that's what we were trying to do there.
And then we're kind of running low. So we're currently working with a startup company in Minneapolis that's working with Invisalign directly about training videos. It's as interesting as it sounds to go through a bunch of B-roll about Invisalign, but again, it's kind of fun to have something that's not quite, it's somewhere between like shadow boxes and editing a master's paper where it's kind of fun, so we get to have like a whole spectrum of works that we do, which I really enjoy.
Yeah, if you want to go back, that's okay. That one showed our range because they flat out asked us to like put together a PowerPoint, and we were like, okay, with what? And then they sent us little bits of content, and we had to create something entirely different from the little bits of content that they had because they really didn't know what to do with it. They kept getting replies from Invisalign. So the company we worked with is Dash and Thompson in the cities. They do training videos, training PowerPoints, things like that for a lot of different companies. And so Invisalign has been a tough one because they are hard to communicate with. So through communication, they were saying, yeah, this isn't interesting enough, we want this, but the things that they wanted were either way too vague or hard to replicate.
And we still haven't gotten free Invisalign.
Right.
So I'm waiting on that package,
but the entire thing has been fun because we've done a lot of different stuff. We've sifted through videos just to find the good quotes that we can grab and pull out. Obviously the PowerPoints, and that one was a longer project.
And then one of our first projects was just working for a pharmaceutical company.
So yeah, the network.
So long ago.
And so yeah, this was a while back. This was one of our first projects. We just did some copy editing for what was a research paper by the Network for Excellence in Health Innovation. And what we did is we were given something that was already written, and we just edited it. We edited it for syntax, for style. They wanted a specific writing style, and so we edited it to fit that style. It was a lot of back and forth communication with the customer, so that one was a difficult one. However, and we're also not experts on pharmaceuticals at all, so we had to do a lot of research.
You heard our degrees, we don't know about pharmaceuticals.
So we had to do a lot of research on what we were actually editing, but it was good.
Yeah, so that's kind of some insight into a lot of the things we've done. One thing we pride ourselves on is meeting with clients one-on-one when we work with them. So people like Stuart, some of the other clients we have, we like to just meet with them and get to know them because we want our content to reflect their company and not just reflect, we want it to be accurate and we want it to be concise, but we also want it to be personal to them. So that's something we really pride ourselves on in Eau Claire, and we're lucky there's so many great businesses here and outside of Eau Claire that want to work with us. And we're hoping to continue and grow and maybe eventually have a retail space and quit our jobs and be free and not really, we need insurance and stuff, so
One thing that is great is we've gotten work and shared work with brand strategy in town, Ellie and Serena over there, and they actually helped us create this. But this is just
they
kind of
did
using,
create it.
yeah, right, exactly. Well,
Yeah.
they did the visual stuff. We are not graphic designers, but since we're not graphic designers, we've utilized them. So we send them work when we have people who are asking for comprehensive graphic design and writing, and then they send us work when they're looking for writers. So it's a really nice work relationship that we have.